After reviewing thousands of Shopify stores, I've come to realize that there are 5 surprisingly simple differences that separate stores that struggle to get even their very first sale compared to those that are capable of scaling to 100,000, million, and beyond in sales. And the best part is that we're going to walk through each of these free tactics that you can immediately apply to your own store so that hopefully you can ultimately reach the sales goals that you want much faster. The first thing that these successful stores all have in common is that they target and serve a specific niche. Now, a niche is just a fancy term for who it is that you're building your store for. And these successful sellers all have an understanding that it's very possible to be an awesome store for one group of people, but it's not possible to be an awesome store for everybody. And on top of that, they also know that the best niches or audiences for them to serve are ones that they themselves are already a part of. And so this means that if they are somebody who's super active and loves the outdoors and exercising and all of that, and they haven't read a book in the past 5 years, that they're not going to make a store about books. They are going to pick something that falls under the categories that they themselves are passionate about. Like take me, for example, not that I am by any stretch of the imagination a yogi, but I've done it enough to be passionate about it. I find it interesting and I do it from time to time. And that was a great basis for starting our brand Yogaste, which we ultimately grew to $3.5 million in sales and was acquired a couple of years ago. And when people came to Yogaste, there was 2 things were immediately evident. Is that number one, this was not a store for people who liked the outdoors or reading books. This was a store simply for people who like yoga. And that was something you could feel from everything, including the brand name, the logo, all of the products, the copy that was written. And that kind of thing would not be possible if we had tried to be a yoga store and we also kind of like, reading. We also kind of like video games. That kind of store just ends up feeling like a random mishmash. And when people land there, they want to feel some kind of connection to you. And if they don't feel that and it feels like, oh, this is just another junk shop, they're just going to leave. So conversion rate goes way up when people are able to land on your store and feel an instant connection. Like this was made not just for them, but it was made by somebody who is one of them. And when you pick a niche that you yourself are a part of, it does a number of amazing things, which again, this is completely free. It costs nothing to pick the niche. You don't need any tools for this. Just write out a list of things that you yourself are interested in, then do some quick research to see if there's, other people interested in it. 90% of the time there is. But when somebody would come to our store and they would see that we had like inside jokes and poses and like industry knowledge that only somebody who has actually done yoga would be aware of, that one, established a connection, and 2, it allowed us to create some pretty unique products that somebody who is, more into CrossFit than yoga and has never stepped on a yoga mat in their life, that they would ever be able to come up with. And that allows us to really stand out in the market and make designs that really connect with our audience. The second thing that separates successful stores from those that struggle to get their first sale is they are surprisingly simple. And this was one that took me a long time and a lot of app subscriptions, a lot of terrible conversion rates later before I finally realized that it's not about the apps and how the store looks. It's about how well it converts. And the good news is that conversion rate optimization, while it is like a pretty in-depth topic and there's a lot of rabbit holes you can go down, in my experience, the thing that I've seen time and time again is that the highest converting stores are extremely simple. They're not bogged down with dozens of apps. Like their total overhead or like subscription bill is like the cost of Shopify is the largest bill that they have. And they have like 3, maybe 4 apps, and it just converts like crazy. Our first stores, I spent so much time on them. I was optimizing for them to look big and beautiful. And I had these awesome banner images that I made in Canva and spent way too much time on. And then I had all these apps that anytime I saw a new app, and I would just browse, never do this, I would just browse through the app store and just click on like best sellers or most used. And like, I was like, oh, that could be good. It was like I was shopping. I was like, that could be good. That could be, and I, would add it all to the store and the conversion rate would just plummet. So best stores that I've seen are extremely simple. So the core elements that they have is they have high quality product images that people love. They have color isolated CTA buttons, which is your add to cart. So they really pop. They don't have lots of paragraphs of text and they're not like self-obsessed with communicating what the brand is and what you stand for. They know that the person coming from Facebook or Instagram or wherever, they're in like scatterbrain mode, impulse buy mode, depending on the price point of the product you're selling, and they just want to see the product. They want to see if they trust you, and then they want to get out. when I was making big, beautiful sites that were super slow to load, telling them a bunch of information that was cool to me, but nobody else really cared. That was just getting in the way of them being able to see the things that they actually needed in order to make a quick buying decision. So once we finally had the breakthrough moment of realizing that we were not selling to ourselves, and what we really needed to give people was a quick and easy and fast checkout experience, we stripped out everything, reduced the site down to like 3 or 4 apps in total, and conversion rate shot up. The third thing that these stores all have in common should not come as a surprise at all, although number 5 will be the most surprising by far. Number 3 is that they have an extremely high quality catalog of products. Now, this is not to say like you need to be an expert designer or anything of the sort in order to make good products. But what I would say is that I've never seen a store that I know is doing 7 figures in sales, looked at their product catalog and gone, I can't believe that's selling. I've had the opposite experience though, every time where it's not quite the opposite, but like every time I look at their stores, their products, I'm like blown away. And they just like almost jump off the page. They're unique in terms of like, it's not just something run of the mill that you would just see on Etsy. They're striking graphics. They have clearly had some time and thought going into them, which all these things that I'm listing, by the way, you get to these things, and most of these sellers are exactly the same, not by sitting there and like hoping to become a better designer or make better products. They get to that point by just going out and doing high repetitions of making products. And this is specific to anybody who's a print-on-demand seller. Like high repetitions of making t-shirts is the fastest way to get to the one t-shirt that is ultimately going to get you the sales that you want. These top stores all have that in common. And so the products just like jump off the page. And I've also heard people who have stores that are struggling to get a single sale say, we have really good products, but just nobody's buying. Like, so something's off with the ads and something's off with, the store, something's happening. And 90% of the time, it's just not the case. They just have bad products. And I say that with love and care because like I care about you getting the hard feedback that you need in order to make the improvements that are required to get to the goals that you say you want. So let's be honest with ourselves. A lot of time, and myself included, if I sit down to make a design 9 times out of 10, it turns out like crap. So the best strategies that I've seen for making high quality products comes down to knowing your strengths and weaknesses. My strength is certainly not designing products. So I lean heavily on AI. I lean heavily on designers, but that's okay. The moral of the story, the final point is that you need to have high quality products. And 90% of the time, if your store is not converting, if you're not getting any sales, look to the products first, not the ads, not your store layout. It's very rarely those things. It normally comes down to the products. And I've seen people with conversion rates that are at 2% that jump up to 6% with no other changes on their site, simply just by adding new products that are better and people want them more. Because if somebody has a product in their cart that they're like, I kind of like it. It's, I'd wear it. I got nothing else better going on. So why not? That kind of person who's not that convinced they really want the thing, far more likely that as they get through the checkout process, they'll go, never mind. Opposed to you show them a product that they absolutely love and they're picturing already, seeing their friends and family's reactions as they're, wearing the shirt or, whatever the product is. If they have that kind of emotional response, that can carry them through any kind of checkout process. That can carry them through you could have like slightly off CTA button colors. You could have too much text. You could have like okay product images. You should still have all these things. But when they have an amazing product in their cart that they absolutely love and they have to have, nothing else really matters. And that's like the one thing that supersedes all else. It's the big domino that makes every other decision or action you could take almost less relevant or just irrelevant entirely. And then on the topic of product quality and just the catalog as a whole comes number 4, which is their stores are extremely focused. So we talked about their niche specific, but on the other side of things is they stay focused on one product type. To explain this from the opposite end, stores that struggle to get even their first sales, a lot of times I look at their store and it's a little bit of this, maybe a couple t-shirts, but then they also got mugs and hoodies and canvases and like just a whole mishmash of maybe some dropship products. And I did the same exact thing. My first store, it looked like a Chinese gift shop. It looked like Alibaba had thrown up on my site and it wasn't good. And on top of that, I had, all these heavy images, all these apps, because I would go, shopping for myself in the app store. So I was making all the mistakes. But then when I finally got to profitability, I cut out all those apps and I narrowed it down to just one product type. And the thing that top sellers understand that people who are struggling to get even a single sale do not is that creating really high quality products, which we just talked about how important that is, it is a skill to create those products. And it is not similar when you're learning to create t-shirts if you start making mugs. Like that skill, there's some overlap. Like, yes, you use the same tools, but by and large, creating a really good t-shirt design is fundamentally different than what's going to look good on a phone case. And on top of that, if you're sending traffic to your site of people that are there for a t-shirt design and they're seeing okay designs, but it's much better to have a 10 out of 10 just t-shirt collection than it is a 5 out of 5 or 5. That'd still be pretty good. Same ratio. 5 out of 10 t-shirt collection, a 5 out of 10 phone case. And I don't normally see that. In fact, what I normally see is it's like 2 out of 10 in terms of the t-shirt quality, 2 out of 10 phone cases, 2 out of 10 mugs. And it's just bad all the way across the board. And there's certainly a tipping point around like once you get to 7 or 8 out of 10 in terms of quality, that the whole thing changes. And the fundamental misbelief that I think a lot of the beginner sellers have is that they're not getting sales with one product type. So they think I'm going to double my chances by adding more product types. Logically makes sense. At least I like to think so because I used to believe that, but it's not true. You're actually going the opposite direction. You're hurting your chances of getting sales by doubling and splitting your focus. So moral of the story, focus on one product type, get really good at that, and then see point number 5, which is the same skill set or same mindset shift, just applied to a different area, which is the sales channel. And the top stores that scale to pretty incredible heights relatively quickly are people that focus on just one main sales channel. And this is not talking about like Facebook or, which one is better. Just pick one. Just get good at one. You could do organic. You could do paid social. You could do affiliates, influencer, like a lot of options out there. Just pick one of those and get really, really good at it. They all have trade-offs. They can all possibly work. One of the questions that I get a lot is like, what's better, like Facebook ads or organic? It's like, well, if you're me, I personally prefer going from 0 to 1 million as quickly as possible. And I'm willing to put up some testing budget in order to make that happen. But that's not for everybody. So can organic work? Absolutely. Just takes more time. Instead of investing money into ads, you're investing your time into making the content, or you're investing money into hiring people to make the content. So it's all trade-offs. But the people who struggle to get even their first sale, when I look at their store, it's got a ton of apps. It's got a lot of products, not very niche down. They're trying to be everything to everybody. And when I look at or talk to them about their marketing, they're talking about, well, yeah, I did a little bit of Facebook, but I don't think Facebook works for my audience. Everybody is on Facebook. 6 billion monthly active users. The world is on Facebook. I know it's not cool anymore. I personally don't go on Facebook that often, but 6 billion people that buy print-on-demand products are on Facebook. I have yet to see a niche that is just Facebook is a barren wasteland for their audience. It doesn't exist. But just pick one and get really, really good at it, because building a 7-figure a year business is entirely possible. It's actually more likely, I would make the argument for it to happen with just one sales channel, because similar to splitting focus between product types, you are doing yourself a disservice. Out of the best of logical intentions, that when I split and I'm diversifying, 7 streams of income just in a different flavor of it. I'm diversifying, giving myself a chance, because I see all these people popping off on TikTok Shop and doing well. That's the thing about shiny objects. They're always extremely shiny, and as you become more successful, they just get shinier. But the fallacy of shiny objects, which we all know, we just need to relearn it the hard way sometimes, is that it's shiny, but what we're not seeing is the wasteland of people that tried to reach for that shiny object and got screwed over, because there's challenges involved with that. We just don't know what those challenges are. So if something ever seems too good to be true, it should really concern the crap out of you, because it means that if there's still an opportunity there, that you just don't know what's hard about it yet. And same exact thing applies for traffic channels. They focus on one, which allows them to just build up a pipeline and like a skill set for just consistently being profitable with that. And on top of that, they have email marketing and maybe a little bit of Google, but they just pick one. So Facebook, email marketing is always a given. And then Google, like 5% of the spend and the effort goes to Google. It's literally just for retargeting. So email and Google, you can kind of group those two together in your head. But that's the playbook. Those are the 5 things they all have in common, the most successful stores versus those that struggle. And so they pick a niche, they keep things extremely simple, and they don't try to be everything to everybody. They have really, really high quality products, which makes up for a lot of other mistakes. Trust me. They stay extremely focused with the product types that they're putting out. Their store is laser focused on becoming the best at the thing they're trying to be the best at. They don't try to be everything to everybody. And 5th, they stay laser focused on just one specific channel. And now stores like this, it's a learning process. And that's exactly what we put together the 31 plus hour course for, to dive into a lot of detail around these things and many, many more. Obviously, this list of 5 is not the entire picture. It'd be a much longer video, 31 hours, give or take. But if this kind of thing interests you, if you want to learn how we have built and grown 8 different brands to $1 million and beyond, there's absolutely no guarantees. I will never say this is easy. I can say that I can help make it easier by, simply I've stepped on a lot of landmines. I can point out where they are so you don't step on the same thing, that kind of deal. But if that's interesting, I've got a pretty big offer for you. It's click the link down below and you can submit your credit card for $0. I'm trying to make a joke. It's free. It's on YouTube. Dumb joke. Just go watch it if you're interested. And other than that, leave comments down below on any other content or if anything in here stood out to you or something that you're doing. Because as we talked about in previous videos, people that share and openly discuss the challenges that they're having, from my observations, tend to have more success. People that are close to the chest and try to lock themselves down end up having a harder time. So openly share. Let's discuss together in the comments. I read all of them. And thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.